And welcome everyone to another edition of the Church Solutions podcast. This is, according to Apple, this is like episode 253. I think they're way off. I think we've got like 500 episodes, but we won't get into that. We've been doing this for a long time. And with me today is Michael Gray, as well as Steve Lacy. How are you guys doing?
Doing just great.
All right, good deal. So as we said at the opening here, we're going to look at what you might call some predictions on how the church change by 2025, which is less than 5 years away from now. And of course, this is written by Paul Maxwell, who's some big shot with Tidely. I don't know what his official title is, but we looked at this article and we thought, this is kind of interesting. We should talk about this because if you're involved in ministry and subcapacity as a volunteer, a leader, a pastor, executive pastor, tech person, this is something that really, it should catch your eye, should catch your ear. You might want to look at this a little bit and explore this with us a little bit here. COVID-19 changed the way we do church. And many are predicting that it's permanently changing the way we do church. And I would agree at least to some degree in that. So we're going to look over some things today with Michael and Steve. Here's some very quick bullet points, and then we're going to jump into this here. Church management software will become the new base of operations for church leaders. Digital giving will account for 80% or more of church giving. Another prediction is that all church technology companies will offer a single sign-in solution for multiple technologies. We'll dig into that a little bit here. Another point is membership engagement will be mobile first. Interesting. Another one is a spiritual health analytics dashboard for every Christian is something that will be prevalent. And then there's going to be an exodus from social media in its current form. That's an interesting prediction. And then online church will grow. That's a no-brainer. So guys, let's jump into this a little bit here and let's get your thoughts on this. So the first point that Paul is talking about here is church management software will become the new base of operations for church leaders. Let's discuss that for a moment or so. To me, that's kind of a no-brainer, but let's talk a little more about it.
Well, first off, before we get too far along, I think he says by 2025.
Yes.
Maybe I'm getting old, but there's no way this is all going to happen by 2025. The timeline is way too short. I mean, these things can start, and they will start to happen, but I'm not,
You don't think so?
Oh, no.
You don't think in 4 years this stuff is going to be happening?
I think it will start happening, but I don't think that some of these things are not going to be completely, an exodus from social media. People are going to go, oh man, you're so old school, you're on Facebook. I do not see that happening in 4 years.
That's already starting to happen.
It is, but
you're right.
I agree that we're not going to be, that this is 5 to 10 years. So, where the trend is definitely going to move in these directions, but I'm thinking change just doesn't happen that fast. People don't change that fast.
I would say this kind of in an opposite direction of that, Steve. I think this is more serious than this is going to happen. I think a few of these, if you don't do them in the next couple of years, you won't be an open church anymore. You'll be closed.
Relevant.
Right.
It won't be relevant.
If number two, and if you don't know who's going to your church and you're not staying connected with them through databases and church management software and some of these things, COVID has forced churches to do things that they didn't want to do. They didn't want to change. They didn't want to. So now it's forced.
Right. COVID has definitely accelerated every one of these.
Absolutely.
So
and again,
maybe I'm just old. I mean,
will survive if they don't do some of these.
Yeah. 5 years is not a long time. So just, we look back. Yeah, whatever. That's not the point of this thing. That was just kind of my.
Let's get off track here and argue about when it's going to happen.
We have some strong feelings about it. So it's obviously this is a good list to talk about.
Yeah,
it is. And again, I think what I read when I read these notes here and as we're talking about this, to me, one of the most important things that we're learning during this COVID-19 especially with people doing online stuff, it's not so much attendance, but engagement. And a lot of this stuff points to engagement, which I think in some ways, some churches weren't really maybe moving in that direction before COVID-19. It was all about who's showing up. But anyhow, all right, so church management software will become the new base of operations. So what does that actually mean?
So I think that means, and one of the reasons I'm really passionate about this, because I've been pushing these things for 20 years, right? So, and almost 20 years. Well, yeah, about 20 years. So things about making, integrate your CMS, your church management system, with your membership and the daily blood of what happens in the church. I think it's going to become more and more important. I know I've worked with some churches that don't have a church management system. I'm like, just baffled. I'm like, how do you operate? That's got to be the core of all communication, tracking, growth measurements. All that stuff has got to happen in your church management software.
I think if you have the basic premise that a church is in place to help some people grow, I'm assuming that for most churches, that's a foundational belief. We're here to help people grow into what and into where. That may vary a lot, but if you expect people to grow, if you hope for people to grow, if you plan for people to grow, how do you know that attender Y has grown any if you don't have a church management system that said, hey, he went to this class and then he stepped up and did this and then he did this. Is he serving?
Yeah. And what's his next
involved?
step?
And what's his next step? How do we help him if we don't even know?
Right. Well, exactly.
Let me give an explanation as to why you've had frustration over the years, Steve. I went to, theology school and all that, and they never taught us that here. They never taught us about church management systems or really tracking. Same for Michael. And I think, you have kind of a little bit of a business background and, Raytheon. So let's move on to point number 2, which I think we can agree on. Maybe we can't. Digital giving will account for 80% or more of church giving by the year 2025. I personally agree with that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that now, doing it right, it's true right now today.
It's true for my church right now.
There are a few churches that are doing it right, and it's very simple. It's one thing: make it easy for me to give. I had cycles throughout different churches. I wanted to be faithful. I wanted to give, but it was inconvenient. It was hard. It was difficult. There was no text to give. There was no giving online. There was no button that encouraged me. Oh, don't forget, your tithes and offerings. So make it easy for people who want to be faithful and want to support your ministry, instead of, like I see so often, it baffles me. I see streaming platforms for churches and website, and there's no giving link. I mean, the simplest thing ever, a button that says give here, tithes and offerings, whatever that is for your church. I'm just dumbfounded that we live in this modern era and we're not making it easier for people who want to do something. They want to support your ministry, and we're making it hard.
Yeah, I found some stats while we're talking here. So 60th is according to the nonprofit source.com, online giving statistics, churches and religious charitable giving stats. It basically says 60% are willing to give their church digitally. This is for today. Tithers make up only 10 to 25% of a normal congregation. And churches that accept tithing online increase overall donations by 32%.
Wow. Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I've seen that true in my own case. By the way, sorry for the buzz, guys. We're in Tucson, Arizona here, and we're on a record of like the hottest days of the year here.
Yeah.
So my air conditioning's buzzing here, and I apologize. All right. So I think we can agree that digital giving will account for 80% or more. I mean, we're seeing that during the COVID thing with my own church, and we're glad that we have it. Why don't we move on here? I don't think this is such a controversial one. Here's a point that we were talking about before the podcast. all church technology companies will offer a single sign-in solution for multiple technologies. And Michael, I thought you had a pretty good way to summarize that. There's lots of companies buying up other companies.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, a lot of companies are saying, I want to be a one-stop shop. I want to be one place that provides every online tool for a church. And it's very easy to do that if you absorb another company or merge with another company versus having to develop it from the ground up.
Like we did, yeah, and that's happening. That's definitely happening, and so you'll see more and more of these mergers and people buying other companies out, and so yeah.
And this is a technology, from a technology standpoint. It's actually called SSO, single sign-on. It's been around for a while, and I think it's going to grow as well. We saw some growth in that recently in the past decade or so, and I think it's going to go even further with all the technology companies.
So you think we'll be there by 2025, Steve?
What does this say? Oh, we'll offer, 5 years. That's probably not, yeah.
Okay.
It's not hard to implement either. So, and it doesn't require a behavioral change from people. It just makes life easier. So yeah, that's one that, I think can be done probably even sooner than that. There's companies that are doing it now. So,
all right, let's move on to the fourth point by Paul Maxwell here. Membership engagement will be mobile first. It will be mobile first. So let's talk a little bit about membership engagement and what he means by this. One of the things that he brings up here, which I thought was a good point, I think you could see this, is the wearable technology that a lot of these companies have now, like Apple, for instance. It really doubled the percentage of Apple's quarterly revenue, and wearable technology that syncs with your mobile device. That's the next phase, according to a lot of these experts here, of mobile technology here. So the more that this wearable technology grows, and I mean, you have something, right? Both you guys have. Don't you both have Fitbits or something goofy like that?
We have watches. I have a watch.
Yeah, so, Apple Watch.
And it's
okay. Yeah. Well, I have a watch too, but it's not technology. We're talking something that syncs with your mobile, right?
Yes, it's a smartwatch.
Okay, it's a smartwatch. Michael?
Yeah, well, when I read this one, I get it a little bit. I get a little bit different. I tell people this all the time because I'm into analytics for websites and analytics. This ship has already sailed. Your users are already using technology. Churches are just 10 years behind. I mean, the mobile use for a streaming website surpassed 50% 5+ years ago. You're in the 65% of people who are streaming from a phone or a tablet. We got to play catch up here. This is a sprint to catch up to what users are already doing, which is using their mobile device for everything. It's a phone, it's a fitness tracker, it's a everything in my life, including this is how I watch church and how I engage with people online.
Right.
I was really tired the other day, and I looked at my Fitbit, and it said, "You have taken 9 steps today." I was really tired. I took 9 steps. Okay, so what they're getting at here is that all these things, small groups, curriculum, notes, digital giving, event registrations, church communications, it's all going to be routed through the mobile app, right? I mean, that's the idea here, right?
Or mobile phone or mobile website or just mobile, period.
Yeah. Interesting stuff here. Okay, so we feel like we're already there, or at least getting there. So 2025, probably so. Yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down?
Oh, I think so.
I think if you're going to survive, you're going to have to. It's another one that it's a little bit do or die, because I met with a church this week, and I met with their tech team and a pastor, and they wanted some help on tech tips and some tools, and so they streamed for the month that they couldn't meet, and they're in a location now that they can meet. but they're finding that only half of the people came back. So I said, so you continued to stream, didn't you? And it was like, no, and they said no. And I went, well, why did you stop streaming? The other half is still sitting at home waiting for you to send them the signal for church. Whatever their reason for not coming back in right now, it doesn't matter. You've got to continue to engage in digital mobile activity and make it easy for people to communicate with you and engage with you and be engaging yourself.
Right. So along these lines, I think with this mobile engagement, I think there's going to be another trend as well within this environment. Right now, the mobile apps are all, they're a lot like mobile websites where they're information based. You know, I can watch the stream, I can, you know, look at this church's newsletter. I think what's going to happen is they're going to become much more membership centric, where if I want to get something useful out of it, I got to log in to my mobile app. So I get stuff relative to me within that environment, and I can participate as, you know, through my login as well. I think there's going to be much more member-centric engagement going on within the mobile apps. So that's kind of along the same lines of the point he's making here. Just kind of.
Yeah, I think that's true. So moving along with technology here, fifth point is a spiritual health analytics dashboard. Somebody's knocking on the door. A spiritual health analytics dashboard for every Christian. So again, what Paul says here is in Apple's latest profit and loss statement, it showed that wearable technology took an enormous increase in its share in Apple's overall revenue. And so, and he goes on to say, we're kind of at the beginning of this mobile technology. And his prediction is by 2025, we will be in the adolescence of wearable, let me repeat that, wearable technology. So including AR glasses that sync with your mobile and other devices. So in other words, you're going to be able to do your Bible study wearing your glasses, I guess is what he's saying here. You can listen to technology and track when or whether you have prayed. You've got some screen time analytics. Comment on that a little bit, guys. So, what do you think?
So I see this. I mean, the big thing that for a lot of people is, did you close your rings today? And so there's this analytics dashboard that you have available to you right now. It's from a physical standpoint, and then there's also, you know, nutrition wise. I think there's what this is talking about is having a spiritual health analytics dashboard, which is, you know, kind of one of the things that was forefront with the app that we created, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that really didn't take off. I think it was way before its time, but I think you're going to start to see, you know, it's kind of tied into, did I read my Bible today? Am I part of this? What's my daily, you know, regimen for whatever the spiritual activity is? Did I, you know, pray for people on the prayer board, that sort of thing? I think we're going to start to see more of a spiritual scoreboard that, and you know, my wife at the end of the day, she'll get up and say, oh my gosh, I got 98 steps I need to finish in order to close my ring. And she'll get out of bed and walk around the bedroom for, you know, 5 minutes before she goes to bed. I think we're going to see, you know, similar things like that. Oh my gosh, I forgot to
see a lot of people doing this, walking around waving their watch, their watch. Oh wait, I got 30 more seconds and I'll have my move ring closed.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that from a spiritual standpoint. We say, yeah, I want to grow daily. I've got a regimen that I need to adhere to. I got to do my daily devotions. I got to, you know, whatever it may be. And I think you're going to start to see more of that spiritual health analytics dashboard that says, ooh, didn't do your devotion for the day. You're getting in bed. You need to, you know, do your devotion. So anyway.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I think it ties back to number one. If you have a healthy, robust system that you're using to connect and follow up with people and help people take a next step, if that's married to a system then that says, hey, For me to be my best, I need to spend X amount of time reading the Bible. I need X amount of time in prayer. And it's not just being regimented per se, but it just helps you remember, oh yeah, these are things that make me my best when it comes to following Jesus. So why wouldn't technology follow those? Why wouldn't you close your circles of faith? Just like you close your circles of food and health.
Yeah. And there'll be a unique, just like everyone's circles don't close. Some people have to do 10,000 steps and other people have set it at 5,000. So it's depending on where you're at. We're going to be able to tailor and kind of measuring where people out and where their next steps are. You can set together programs that say, hey, you want to make it to the next step, you got to up your step count to, whatever it may be. I see that happening on a spiritual sense too, moving people along this continuum. So it's a custom.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just finishing. It's just going to be a custom plan for everyone with a dashboard on how you're doing.
Yeah. I have an app on my phone that I use for. I do the time of prayer and meditation every morning. I have an app that I use, and it counts. It gives me a streak. My streak on how many times I've done this, which is up to like 498, and it also gives me an ability to record how I'm feeling and record notes, and I use it every day, and I actually kind of like the streak thing because I don't want to break the streak, right? So if I get up a little late, I want to make sure I want to get this in. I want to get this in, which may or may not be the best motivation, but it does keep me in a habit of doing it. I get up really early, and so there are common meditation apps out there, and I happen to have one of them. All right, so we're running out of time here. Let's move on to the most controversial one here, according to Steve Lacy. There's going to be an exodus from social media in its current form. Now, notice he says current form, so we're not saying, Steve, that everybody's going to jump off Facebook and Instagram, but he says current form. So he's saying that these are going to be outdated forms of public content. People are going to look for more private, interactive digital communities. That's going to be the deal, which kind of ties into membership. Your defense on this point, Steve?
Oh, I agree. I think it's going to go. It's going to get more narrow and more refined for everyone. It's going to be smaller communities, more intimate communities, that sort of thing.
By 2025?
I think it's going to start moving that way. When we're going to, I don't think in 2025 we're going to be harassing people for using, oh, my grandmother still uses Facebook. I think, I don't think it's going to be, I don't think we're going to completely arrive in 5 years. And again, this is just based on, maybe my timing is not the best, but I'm very passionate about a lot of these things, and I'm pushing them for 5-6 years, and with not a lot of success. It just kind of you got to move the culture along, and so the culture's got to catch up to it. So I think.
No, I think you're right. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry, I just had a thought.
Go for it.
Well, I think so. TikTok is an example of something new that came on hard and fast, that I don't know how long it's been around, but it's really exploded of late. I think if there are some other platforms that allow for human connection and relation, and especially now because a lot of people, we won't say all people, a lot of people are very, very upset that they're being censored by these platforms. So there's a lot of censoring going on right now. And people just saying what they think is a normal opinion thing and being told, okay, your account shut down for 3 days because that's against our community standards. So free speech we'll see if people care enough about their free speech to abandon a platform and go somewhere else. I don't know if that's true. I know there are platforms popping up because of it. There's one out there right now that's called the Free Speech Network. Will it take off? I
Or
don't,
is
you
that
know. Right
Parler?
now, it's just people from one side that are getting censored that are bailing and going over there. Well,
Parler's the one that they're pushing
yeah,
over Twitter. Is that the same one you're talking about?
yeah, that's Parler's what I was referring to there.
Okay.
But right now, Twitter is being very censoring of anyone who is of one particular persuasion of political thought. And so is Facebook. I saw some censoring from Facebook yesterday that literally made me laugh out loud because I was like, what? Why would you censor that? I don't even understand. It was nothing offensive or nothing off-putting from anyone anywhere. So it's really bizarre right now, the times we live in, that if someone came along with a good platform that was really great for everyone, and I personally signed up in 2008. I looked at it yesterday. I signed up for Twitter in 2008. And my number one reason for signing up for Twitter was because I felt the freedom to express anything I wanted to there. And I could bypass news agencies and find out from boots on the ground what was happening live anywhere in the world. So it was this unfiltered free speech tool that I celebrated and I was so excited about it. And now I don't trust them at all to not censor literally what is happening on the ground now. They're blocking content so that I can't see it, so that I'm not influenced by what's really happening in the world. Well, that completely destroys my whole reason for signing up for Twitter. Whatever opinion it is, if it's me being filtered today, it's somebody else that's going to be filtered tomorrow. And then it'll be your turn or somebody else's turn. And it's like, well, then that's not free. That's somebody's deciding what I should know and what I should see and what I should hear, which defeats the whole thing in the first place.
Yeah. I think there's going to be shifts. What is it about? Yeah, maybe I'm got my things wrong, but anyway, I was talking about it's something along the lines of what you think you can do in a year, you never can do, but what you can get done in 5 years is amazing, or something along those lines. Anyway, 5 years in my time frame, 5 years is a pretty short horizon. Yeah, you're right. I think there's going to be forces driving towards this. I think all of these are going to happen.
Yeah.
We just may not have arrived, and there's any surviving church out there. There's going to be some that haven't embraced all of these. So.
Yeah. Well, that's always the case. The last point, guys, we're out of time. The last point is, I think, something we all can agree to, especially since we're a streaming company. Online church will grow. I think that's a no-brainer, right? I mean,
yep, that ship sailed.
Yeah,
at Easter.
That's a seventh prediction for 2025. Online church will grow.
Yeah, COVID definitely accelerated it.
No doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah. He wrote this in April, so COVID was going, but we didn't know exactly how long it was going to go or how deep we were getting into it. So my thanks to Paul Maxwell, who put this together. And if you have any questions about this, or you have some thoughts you want to share with us, maybe opinions on what we thought about this, or whatever, just send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv, and we'd love to help you any way we can. We are a company that loves to help churches use technology, and a lot of these things that we talked about, we have these already. And if we can help you, if anything, we certainly would be pleased to answer any questions. So, all right, guys, we're out of time. Thank you for your input today. This was fun.
All right, it's great.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Good list.
All right. So for Michael Gray and Steve Lacy, I'm Phil Thompson. Take care of yourselves. This has been the Church Solutions Podcast. We'll catch you again next time. Be safe.